Bonjour, comment ça va? And welcome back to Grindhouse Funhouse, a channel about all things cult and underground cinema from the 70s, 80s, and 90s, and the current crop of horror movies that's coming out these days. And for this video, you shall witness my first ever movie review that people can actually see and comment on. Now, won't that be interesting for me? So what kind of reviews I wanted to do for Grindhouse Funhouse is a series I'll call Only on VHS, where you guessed it, the movie I'll be talking about has only been released on VHS. So no DVD, no Blu-ray, no digital streaming, no nothing, just pure old school VHS. So far I've compiled a list of about a dozen titles: action, horror, comedy. Most were released in the mid-80s, obviously, that was the era. And one thing I noticed is 1987, for some reason, is the year where a lot of movies only stayed on VHS. I got actually 7 or 8 of them. Just something weird I noticed. So I've got a lot of choices to work with for this particular series, so that should be fun. And who doesn't like fun? I know I do. So what has the distinct honor of being the first title in this hopefully long-lasting series? Well, it's Nightstick, right here. There you go. There's only a French trailer online right now, so what I'll do is I'll show you the images, turn the volume down, and read the synopsis from right here. All right, here we go. Brash, trigger-happy New York cop Calhoun pulls more than punches when he put his life on the line to nab 3 ruthless extortionists in the suspenseful action thriller Nightstick. Considered a big risk in the line of duty, Calhoun's bravado scores him few points with immediate supervisor Captain Melton, but lands him a grueling assignment. Told to bring in the unscrupulous Bantam brothers who have been blowing up banks when their ransom demands aren't met, Calhoun travels through the seedy underbelly of New York in search of his constantly moving targets. After the Bantams plan a string of time bombs and kidnap his girlfriend Robin, Calhoun finally corners the murderers for an explosive confrontation as the time bombs are ticking. So, yeah, that's it. Also, that's my movie voice. Neat, eh? So yeah, that's the synopsis behind the box. I'll just let it play out in French, so you'll get to learn a few words. How about that? See you in a few.
Vous n'êtes pas obligé de lui répondre quand il vous interroge, mais c'est à vos risques et périls.
Excuse-moi vieux, j'ai pas bien entendu.
Je vous jure sur la tête de ma mère que c'est pas moi.
T'es de l'assistance, espèce d'enfoiré.
Non.
Calhoun a horreur qu'on lui mette des bâtons dans les roues.
Et maintenant, souviens-toi bien de ça. Je vais revenir. Et si jamais t'as menti, tu vas le regretter, je te le promets.
So this was directed by Joseph L. Scanlan, whose previous work include a lot of episodic TV like The Littlest Hobo. And then after Nightsticks, he did Star Trek The Next Generation, Quantum Leaps, The Adventures of Briscoe County Juniors. And if, by the way, if you have never seen this show with Bruce Campbell, my God, get on it. Where have you been? The guy playing Calhoun, Bruce Fairbairn, did a ton of TV guest spots, which was like The Rookies, Charlie's Angels, and The Incredible Hulk in the 70s. In the 80s, he was one of the stars of the soap opera Knots Landing. And he did appear in a 1978 movie called Vampire Hookers, where Vinegar Syndrome released a double feature DVD on it. And I'd be interested to check that out. But Nightstick seems to be his claim to fame. So what's the verdict on Nightstick? Well, I'd say it's a pretty middle-of-the-road cop thriller. The 2 big names in the credit, Canadian national treasure that is Leslie Nielsen, and also Robert Vaughn, have probably 15 minutes of screen time combined. This is the Bruce Fairbairn show. As Calhoun, his name is said so many times, I feel like they should have just titled that movie Calhoun, and at some point I think it was. When Leslie Nielsen says, "Get me Calhoun," I believed every word and he meant business. As for Mr. Fairbairn, I'd say the man has the charisma of a lamppost. I mean, he's fine for that kind of role, but it was very unmemorable. The rest of the cast, minus Nielsen and Vaughn, their acting was pretty stiff and kind of like took you out of the movie. But I kind of like that. I think it's kind of like funny and awkward at the same time. Like they just don't know what. Like clearly you could see them acting, and I just derive pleasure for that kind of stuff. All the blowing up scenes, like explosions, fireball, what have you, for some reason they really cut away from it fast. Like they'll show like a couple seconds and it just cuts out. And usually when you watch these kind of movies, you won't actually see stuff being blown up, you know? So they kind of like take you out of this. Pretty much all the action scenes were in the trailer, the images you saw, and that's pretty much like let's be real, that's pretty much every action movies from the 80s, and I believe it's even worse now in 2018. There were some pretty intense scenes of violence in this, and I do wonder how it got through and aired on national TV back in 1987. Unless it aired like on HBO or Showtime, I could actually find that information. But also the production value on this movie, the look of it, just the style could have easily aired. That could have easily have been shown on the big screen. The three brothers in this, the villains of the show, those murderers, thieves, and drug dealers that Calhoun put away 10 years earlier, and now they're back with a vengeance, wanting to bury him and burn the city to the ground. They're not that menacing at all. Also, I'm sure you could guess where this all ends. It's in a giant empty warehouse, which was the big cliche back then for any action movies. Another thing I noticed is it's also a New York Toronto co-production, whereas so many movies back in the 80s wanting to pass for New York, Chicago, any other big US cities were mostly shot in Toronto back in the day. Now it's Toronto, Montreal, Vancouver. The dead giveaway in this one is seeing the big Eaton sign, big as life, in the car sequence. In the background, it's one of the biggest retail stores, so we get to see that, and that's always fun to spot. So all in all, I think Nightstick can linger in VHS purgatory, and no one would bat an eye over it. May sound a bit harsh, but there's so many other movies that needs to be released on Blu-ray right now before this one, and I think it's fine where it is. One thing I'll say though is that I really liked the score done by Robert O. Raglan. That man's resume when it comes to exploitation and horror movies from the 70s is pretty damn good. He's worked on amazing films like The Thing with Two Heads, Abby, Grizzly, Jaguar Lives, The Glove. The list goes on. And music cue wise, there's a love scene where we get that sexy 80s sax music. Oh man, that always gets me. It's always like the showstopper for me, and just it hits me right there. It's it's delicious. So that's it for my first review ever. Hope I did a-okay, and there's more only on VHS titles to come. Other titles like Nightstick right here. In fact, if you have any suggestions of titles from the 70s, 80s, and 90s that's only been released on VHS, let me know in the comment sections below. Also, if you had a chance to watch Nightstick, which by the way is on YouTube, someone ripped it for your pleasure. If you're curious, let me know what you thought about it if you see it. Please like, share, and subscribe. Click on that tiny little bell so you'll all never miss an update. Also, go check out my Instagram feed at Grindhouse Funhouse, where I post on the daily. Also on Twitter, Grind Funhouse, and on my Facebook page at Grindhouse Funhouse. And finally, just wanted to give a shout out to my friend Christina, who created this badass logo and banner for my channel, which was just unveiled with this video. Much thanks to her. It's so badass. In fact, I feel t-shirts and stickers and pins and posters should be created, and who knows, it may happen. Wink, wink. If you want to check out her other work besides my banner and logo, go to troblood.tumblr.com, tro being T-R-O-P, blood, and troblood on Twitter. Until then, thanks a lot for watching, be well, and I'll see you in the next video.